Hello friends, I am Darshana Patel working as assistant professor at VS Patel College of Arts and Science BCA BBA course. I am over here to teach operating system. This is the third video of my lecture series, and so if you have not watched part 1 and 2, then I request you to first watch part 1 and 2 of my lecture series. So today I am going to discuss about scheduling criteria that are used for choosing or selecting the scheduling algorithms. Also, I am going to discuss about first come first serve scheduling algorithm and shortest job first scheduling algorithm with example. Scheduling criteria. CPU scheduling algorithm have different properties. So the choice of particular algorithm depends upon the situation. Now the criteria that are used for comparing CPU scheduling algorithms are: first, CPU utilization; second, throughput; third, turnaround time; fourth, waiting time; fifth, response time. So now let us look at each of these criteria in detail. First, CPU utilization. So what is CPU utilization? CPU utilization means to make maximum use of CPU. That means CPU must be kept busy all the time. CPU must not be idle at any given time. Second, throughput. Throughput means the number of processes that are completed per time unit. That is, how many processes have completed their execution in a given time unit. Third, turnaround time. Turnaround time means the amount of time taken to complete a process. Thus, turnaround time is the time spent by a process from the first arrival in ready queue to its completion. In short, turnaround time is exit time minus arrival time. Next, fourth, waiting time. Waiting time is the amount of time a process spent waiting in a ready queue. In short, waiting time is turnaround time minus burst time. For example, a process needs 5 seconds for execution and the process takes 12 seconds to complete. So the waiting time is 12 minus 5, that is 7 seconds. That is because a process had to wait 7 seconds for its execution. Next, response time. Response time is the time taken from the submission of a request until the first response is produced. Thus, we can say that response time is the time spent when the process comes in the ready state and gets the CPU for the first time. Let's understand it with an example. Suppose a process arrives at 0 second in a ready queue, but its execution starts at after 3 seconds. So the response time is 3 minus 0, that is 3 seconds. Scheduling algorithms. A process scheduler selects the process to be assigned to the CPU based on particular scheduling algorithm. These scheduling algorithms are designed to achieve maximum CPU utilization. The scheduling algorithm decides the order in which the process must be executed so that the throughput and CPU utilization is maximized while turnaround time, response time, and waiting time is minimized. We have seen all these terms in our previous slide. Now there are 6 popular process scheduling algorithms, and they are first come first serve scheduling, shortest job first scheduling, priority scheduling, round robin scheduling, multi-level queue scheduling, multi-level feedback queue scheduling. We will be seeing all these algorithms in detail in next topic. I mean in the same part but in next topic. Types of CPU scheduling. Now the scheduling algorithms can be divided into two types, that is non-preemptive and preemptive. So, what is non preemptive? Non preemptive scheduling is a CPU scheduling technique in which once a process enters the running state, it cannot be preempted. That is, we cannot interrupt or suspend the process until its execution is completed. And after the process the processor switches to another process. Now, preemptive scheduling. So, what is preemptive scheduling? Preemptive scheduling is a CPU scheduling technique in which a process that is in running state can be interrupted and the CPU is assigned to the newly arrived process. This process may be having higher priority than the currently executing process, or maybe the burst time of this newly arrived process is smaller than the burst time of currently executing process. Now, once the execution of this newly arrived process is completed, then the suspended process resumes its execution. First come, first serve scheduling algorithm. First come, first serve scheduling is an algorithm that executes the process in the order in which they arrived. That is, the process that arrives first gets executed first, and the process that arrives at the end gets executed in the last. In other words, we can say that CPU is allocated to the process in the order of their request. For first come first serve scheduling algorithm, there is only one queue maintained for all the process in the ready state, and this queue is managed on the first come first serve basis. So now when a process enters the ready queue, it enters through the tail of the queue, whereas the scheduler selects the process for execution from the head of the queue. As shown in the diagram or as shown in the figure below, when a new process arrives for execution, its number is 6 and it's placed at the tail, that is at the end of the queue, that is after process number 5. Now the scheduler needs to select a process for execution. So it will select the process from the head of the queue, that is it will select process number 1. So a new process enters from the tail, whereas a process for execution is selected from the head of the queue. A real-time example for first come first serve scheduling algorithm is buying movie tickets or railway tickets on the ticket counter. The first come first serve scheduling algorithm is non-preemptive scheduling algorithm. That means once a process is given CPU for its execution, we cannot preempt, we cannot suspend that process. Only after its execution gets over, the CPU can be allocated to another process. Advantages of first come first serve scheduling algorithm. First, simple and easy to implement. The first come first serve algorithm does not require complex logic. It puts the process request in a queue and executes process one by one from the queue. Hence, first come first serve scheduling algorithm is simple and easy to implement. Second, easy to understand. In our daily life, we implement or say we use these algorithms while buying movie tickets or railway tickets, etc. And so this algorithm can be easily understood as we are applying it in our daily life. Third, no starvation. In first come first serve scheduling algorithm, all the process gets executed in the order of their arrival, and so there is no chances for starvation as no process has to wait infinitely. Disadvantages of first come first serve scheduling algorithm. First come first serve scheduling is non-preemptive algorithm, which means the process priority does not matter. So if a process with least priority is being executed and all of a sudden some high priority process arrives, say for example interrupt to avoid system crash, the high priority process will have to wait, and hence in this case the system will crash just because of improper process scheduling. Second, shorter process at back have to wait long. This is because the first come first scheduling is non-preemptive scheduling. So shorter process which are at the back of the queue will have to wait for longer process at the front to finish. Third, non-ideal for time sharing. Now since first come first serve scheduling is non-preemptive scheduling algorithm, it is not suitable for time sharing system because in time sharing system switching from one process to another is important, while this cannot be handled using first come first serve because it does not allow switching of process. Last, average waiting time is high. Since it is easy to implement but it is poor in performance, the average waiting time is higher as compared to other scheduling algorithms. Now let us understand first come first serve using example. Now suppose there are three processes P1, P2 and P3 all arrive at same time, that is time equal to 0, and the order in which they arrive are P3, P1, P2, and the burst time, that is the time required to complete execution, is given in the table below. So now let us draw the Gantt chart for the processes P1, P2 and P3. So in our example, P3 arrives first. So at time 0, execution of P3 begins. It needs 1 second only. So after 1 second, the execution of P3 ends and the next process is P1. So execution of P1 begins. So now execution of P1 begins at 1 second and it needs 8 seconds to complete its execution. So 1 plus 8 is equal to 9. So the execution of P1 process ends after 9 seconds and the execution of P2 begins at 9 seconds and process P2 needs 4 seconds. So 9 plus 4 equal to 13. So the execution of P2 ends at 13 seconds as shown in the figure below. Now let us calculate turnaround time for each process. The formula to calculate turnaround time is turnaround time equal to completion time minus arrival time. So let us calculate turnaround time for P1. So the turnaround time for P1 is 9. How it came? The completion time for P1 is 9 and the arrival time for P1 is 0. So 9 minus 0 equal to 9. In the same way, turnaround time for P2 is 13. So the completion time for P2 is 13 and the arrival time for P2 is 0. So 13 minus 0 is equal to 13. In the same way, turnaround time for P3 is 1. So the completion time for P3 is 1 and the arrival time for P3 is 0. So 1 minus 0 equal to 1. Now let us calculate average turnaround time. Average turnaround time is equal to the sum of turnaround time of each processes divided by total number of processes. So the average turnaround time is equal to 9 plus 13 plus 1 divided by 3, which is equal to 23 divided by 3 and is equal to 7.66 approximately. Now let us calculate waiting time for each of the process. So the formula to calculate waiting time is waiting time equal to turnaround time minus burst time. So let us calculate waiting time for each of the processes. So the waiting time for P1 is 1. The turnaround time for P1 is 9 and the burst time for P1 is 8. So 9 minus 8 is equal to 1. The waiting time for P2 is 9. The turnaround time for P2 is 13 and the burst time is 4. So 13 minus 4 is equal to 9. And let us calculate waiting time for P3. The waiting time for P3 is 0. The turnaround time of P3 is 1 and the burst time of P3 is 1. So 1 minus 1 is equal to 0. Now let us calculate average waiting time. Average waiting time equal to waiting time of sum of waiting time of all the process divided by the number of process. So average waiting time equal to 1 plus 9 plus 0 divided by 3 is equal to 10 divided by 3 is equal to 3.33. Shortest job first scheduling. Shortest job first scheduling is an algorithm in which the process having the smallest burst time is selected for execution from the list of available processes in the ready queue. Thus, shortest job first is a scheduling algorithm where the processes are executed in the ascending order of their burst time. That is, the process having shortest burst time is executed first, and the process having the largest burst time is executed in the end. Thus, in first come first serve scheduling, the processes are selected according to their arrival time. However, in shortest job first scheduling algorithm, the processes are scheduled based on their burst time. Now, when the CPU is available, it is assigned to the process that has smallest CPU burst. However, if the CPU burst of two processes are same, in such a situation, first come first serve scheduling is used for selecting one process out of those two processes. The shortest job first significantly reduces average waiting time for other processes waiting for execution. Shortest job first can be divided into two types: preemptive scheduling algorithm and non-preemptive scheduling algorithm. Non-preemptive shortest job first. Non-preemptive shortest job first is also known as shortest job next, SJN. In non-preemptive shortest job first scheduling, when a shorter job arrives, the currently executing process is not preempted or is not removed from the execution. Its execution continues, and the newly arrived short job has to wait until the currently executing process completes its execution. Once the execution is completed, then the shortest job is given chance for its execution. Next, preemptive shortest job first. It is also known as shortest remaining time first. In preemptive shortest job first scheduling, when a shorter job arrives, the currently executing process is preempted or removed from execution, and the shorter job is given chance to execute first. Let us look at the advantages and disadvantages of shortest job first. First, the shortest job first reduces the average waiting time as compared to first come first serve algorithm. This is because moving a shorter process before a longer process decreases the waiting time of shorter processes and increases the waiting time of longer processes. However, when the average waiting time is calculated, then there is an overall decrease in average waiting time. And so we can say that shortest job first reduces the average waiting time of the processes. Second, shortest job first is appropriate for the jobs running in batch because their burst time are known in advance. Now let us look at the disadvantages of shortest job first. First, job's completion time must be known earlier, but it is very difficult to predict that how much time a process will need. Second, the longer process will have more waiting time. This is because the shorter job have priority over longer process. Third, longer process may suffer from starvation. So if shorter processes keeps on coming, then they will be executed first, and the longer processes will be kept waiting infinitely, which ultimately may lead to starvation. And the last one, it is hard to know the length of upcoming CPU request. That means we don't know in advance what will be the burst of the process coming next. Now let us understand shortest job first using example. Now suppose there are three processes P1, P2 and P3 all arrive at same time, that is time equal to 0, and the burst time, that is the time required to complete execution, is given in the table below. P1 needs 8 seconds, P2 needs 4 seconds and P3 needs 1 second. So now let us draw the Gantt chart for our processes. So in our example, P3 is the shortest job as its burst time is 1 second. So the execution of P3 begins. Now after 1 second the execution of P3 completes and the next shortest job is P2 because its burst time is 4 seconds. So the execution of P2 begins at 1 second and it needs 4 seconds. So the execution of P2 ends at 5 seconds. And then after the execution of P1 begins. The execution of P1 begins at 5 seconds and it needs 8 seconds. So in total the execution of P1 ends at 13 seconds as shown in the figure below. Now let us calculate turnaround time for each of the process. So the formula for calculating turnaround time is turnaround time equal to completion time minus arrival time. So the completion time for process P1 is 13 and the arrival time of process P1 is 0. So 13 minus 0 is equal to 13. Therefore the turnaround time for P1 is 13. Same way the turnaround time for P2 is 5. The completion time for process P2 is 5 and the arrival time of process P2 is 0. So 5 minus 0 is equal to 5. Thus the turnaround time for P2 is 5. In the same way, the turnaround time for process P3 is 1. The completion time for process P3 is 1 and the arrival time for process P3 is 0. So 1 minus 0 is equal to 1. Now let us calculate average turnaround time. Average turnaround time is equal to 13 plus 5 plus 1 divided by 3, that is 19 divided by 3 is equal to 6.33. Now let us calculate waiting time for each of the process. The formula for calculating waiting time is waiting time equal to turnaround time minus burst time. So let us calculate waiting time for P1. The turnaround time for process P1 is 13 and the burst time for process P1 is 8. So 13 minus 8 is equal to 5. So the waiting time for process P1 is 5. Now let us calculate waiting time for process P2. The turnaround time for process P2 is 5 and the burst time for process P2 is 4. So 5 minus 4 is equal to 1. Therefore the waiting time for process P2 is 1. In the same way the waiting time for process P3 is 0. The turnaround time for process P3 is 1 and the burst time for process P3 is 1. So 1 minus 1 is equal to 0. Therefore the waiting time for process P3 is 0. Now let us calculate average waiting time. So average waiting time is equal to 5 plus 1 plus 0 divided by 3, that is equal to 6 divided by 3, that is 2 seconds. So the average waiting time for the process is 2 seconds.